Hey, Gerrit, great to see you. Thanks for joining me virtually today to discuss the multifamily market in Reno. Obviously, a lot has been going on with the whole COVID-19 thing. So really looking forward to getting your updates on the market in general and what ramifications we've seen as a result of COVID. So I guess kind of to start out, do you want to maybe just touch on what rental collections have been like and what you're hearing from different landlords in the market across different asset classes?
Yeah, absolutely. With our heavy gaming here in Reno in this market, also down in Carson, quite a few people lost their jobs. I mean, it was the tune of 1,000 to 2,000 per week there for a while. And that obviously trickles upward too, whether it's a corporate job or food and beverage or entertainment based. So we're seeing asset classes, I mean, all the way from A, B, and C, some changes, some are for the good in some cases, and some obviously not going so well. I did a rent survey for Class A, Class B, and C. I surveyed about 1,500 Class A properties, 1,500 units in the Class A sector, about 1,250 in Class B, and about 650 in Class C. And starting with Class A, the majority saw about 85 to 90% of collections in April. Others saw as low as 70 and 80 as you kind of trickle down into the A minus or B range. But in the 85% of Class A, that was on-time payments. Majority did catch up throughout the month. In some cases, they were paying 50% and working out something with the leasing manager, which we have encouraged owners and investors and clients from day one, whenever this thing kind of kicked off, to be patient, be cooperative, reach out to your tenants and see what you can do to help them. This thing, there's nothing that this doesn't touch. It's such an enormous scale. So that's created a very delicate environment. And although there is a moratorium on evictions and foreclosures, there still will be some impending fallout on the back end as we clear up the first 90 days of COVID. And I think it's a very, very wise move that a lot of these owners are instructing the leasing managers to work out some kind of an agreement with the seller, or with the tenants to pay what they can when they can, and then also set up some kind of a structure for repayment on the back end.
I have to tell you, I'm a little surprised that many people have paid. That's actually really good news.
Yeah, and everyone's been watching for, first it was, well, let's see how May goes, April. And April went surprisingly well in most cases. In the Class C sector, we saw about 85 to 95% of rental collections. According to my calls with existing clients and property managers here in Reno, that number has dropped in some cases to 83 to 88%, in some cases as high as 90. One gentleman I know, he and his partner own about 380 units here, and for April they had about 8% express and provide letters of hardship and requested some kind of cooperation and assistance. That number has climbed a little bit up to about 10 or 12% in some of their properties and maintained right around 8% in others. One company I talked to, kind of near Meadowood Mall area, only saw about 70 to 80% of collections in May, and then throughout the rest of the month, about 85 to 90% did get caught up. And they said that so far, I spoke with them last night. They said that they're looking about the same projections right now. So we'll have to see. I mean, people pay 10, 15 days late in many cases, and I think this will, be probably consistent.
I have to tell you, that's really encouraging. I mean, from talking to retail brokers and retail landlords, I'm hearing that, 50% of retailers, or even more in some shopping centers, if they're very restaurant heavy or something, are not paying their rent. And so it's really interesting. I was kind of expecting multifamily to be hit a little bit harder than the numbers that you're telling me, but I think, at the end of the day, that's where people live. And that is, one of those basic human needs. And so you're probably going to pay that bill before you pay a lot of other bills. So that's actually really good to hear.
Yeah, and one owner that I talked with, she says that due to the casinos being closed down right now, she has to keep an eye on specific tenants every month because a lot of them will take their social security checks and go to the casinos.
Oh.
So where I mentioned some good, some bad, it's interesting. It's an interesting blend of payments versus non-payments because other tenants who are experiencing a hardship for lost wages and lost jobs, there are other tenants who are paying more timely because they can't go to an environment that puts their monthly payment at risk.
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
there's
When
kind of
there's
some give and take.
not the ability to go out and gamble or go to the liquor store or go to the
Right.
bar or whatever. I mean, it's kind of sad, but that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what else are you kind of seeing, especially when it comes to new construction? I, drive around town and I see multifamily projects. I feel like going up on every corner. Even I was down in Carson City yesterday, and there's some major multifamily development going on down there that I was surprised to see, and they were full swing, swinging hammers and moving on it. So have you seen any construction projects put a hold on it? Anything that was maybe permitted but not out of the ground yet that you've heard is going to be delayed? What are you just seeing on the construction side?
So everything was full speed ahead and maintaining progress. And then I heard rumors that OSHA was kind of patrolling some job sites and threatening to shut down if workers were not maintaining a safe distance. That appears, again, as you mentioned, you still see projects underway here down in South Reno, Innova, and some of the other ones down here that, especially with the workforce housing component that they were including in the development. They're still building, and I think it's very much an essential job and an essential effort in completing those units. And what's interesting is about 6 to 8 months ago, we started seeing concessions being offered in the form of 6 weeks free rent for a new lease, all the way up to 3 months in some cases. And in addition, we also saw $500 to $1,000 gift cards for grocery stores or other Best Buy or in other stores like that, incentivizing new tenants to come sign leases. And while that looked like a threat to the leasing structure that some of these projects were facing, as we're seeing some impending foreclosures, and I think we still will, regardless of how this shakes out, there's just, with so much unemployment, I don't know how we'll be immediately able to recover from that. So one theory that I'm kind of hearing some chatter about is that as people lose their homes, these Class A highly amenitized properties that kind of are on the outskirts, that these will be filling up with new tenants that need to kind of downsize and kind of regroup and figure out what their next steps are for their lives. In some of the talks that I had with some of the B and C clients that I have, they actually said they saw an increase in April of new applications due to lease renewals at the Class A highly amenitized properties with, the dog washing station that they never use, the gym, the gym that they are now locked out of and can't use anyway. Loft 205 has a bike storage room. If they don't use these amenities, and there's a difference of $350 monthly, that's $4,200 a year that they can save and use otherwise, and maybe through the last year or two of right, exactly, yeah, things that really matter. So there's kind of been a downward shift in the need, or the perceived need, for select housing. And interestingly enough, they're kind of, the B and C stuff is starting to fill back up, where previously new owners purchased these properties, renovated them, and raised rents, and maybe people wanted to just relocate. They got married, had a boyfriend or girlfriend, they wanted to go find a larger unit, and Midtown doesn't always offer the largest apartment units, so they're kind of going to the outskirts.
Interesting. You just brought up an interesting point about the amenities at some of these, Class A properties. They can't use any of these amenities right now. And what are you hearing about, the reopening of any of these amenities, and how are they going to implement social distancing? Similar to, I'm hearing, office buildings putting a lot of protocols into place. What do you think we'll see in the apartment sector?
Yeah, I've kind of been broaching some of those questions with the leasing managers that I've been talking with, and they're expressing the same kind of thing, just a slow trickle of the faucet of allowing these amenities to open, just posting notices, try to reduce the amount of contact and the amount of people within each facility. Just as our office will be reopening soon, limiting the people in the conference room. So just trying to structure things in a way to safely get back to normal, or as normal as we
Yeah.
can.
So maybe monitoring only, depending on how big the gym is, only, 10 people in the gym at a time, or some sort of monitoring system where not everybody's on treadmills right next to each other, sort of thing.
Yeah, and honestly, these gyms on site are in many cases too small for even 10 people. So
Yeah.
that's another reason why what seems like an attractive on-site facility really falls short of what people need when they're concerned with their workout.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So what about, there's been all these value add projects going on, particularly in the downtown core, midtown, even out on 4th Street. What do you see happening with those? Those were all purchased under the expectation that rental rates were just going to continue to go up. Do you think those projects are still viable? And just give me your thoughts on that kind of sector of the market.
Yeah, and as a broker with quite a few listings in the C the Class C sector, I can definitely speak to that point. The writing on the wall really was visible within the last 12 months because we all understand the value add model, right? You purchase a property that has undervalued rents, under market rents, has a ton of deferred maintenance. You go through top to bottom, renovate the units. Unfortunately, many tenants in that case do have to leave and find more affordable rents because whether the property was priced quite high and that's what it took to acquire the asset, or the owner just wants higher rents to offset their renovation costs. What we're seeing now is, or what we've been seeing for the last 12 months, is properties selling at the value add price, and then the new owner has to kind of retroactively renovate to justify their price. And
Mm-hmm.
you couldn't lose with that model for a while, but it was a very fragile and delicate way to go about acquiring real estate, because if there's any kind of a shift like we're experiencing now, all of a sudden rents aren't there. It just, instead of value add, it's almost value justify. You have to reverse back into it and add value. And in many cases, you're putting your remodeled asset beyond the cost of what it should be priced at anyway, because you're paying full market value in many cases for a property that still needs a six-figure renovation.
Mm-hmm. So you're really banking on the future with that. Some of these projects are probably a year to 2 years from completion anyway. So the risk factor is extremely high. Hoping and assuming that COVID-19 doesn't continue for 2 years, hopefully, we'll see rental rates back up when these projects are, at completion. It'll just be interesting, I think, to see how many property owners are still willing to take that risk and, put, like you said, another 6 figures, into renovating something.
Yeah, and another issue too is a lot of the buyers that we're still seeing active in the market have trailing 1031 money that they're looking to place. And while they've been given an extension on that, a lot of these transactions will be forced to be cash. Some lenders are still funding deals right now, but the secondary markets are shut down. Hard money lenders aren't lending. So unless it's a cash purchase, it's very difficult to get financing, especially because for the last, I keep saying 12 months, but a lot of the banks have not been interested in looking at pro forma at all. They're looking at actual collections. And, if a property market rents after renovation are $1,200 to $1,250 for a 2-bed, 1-bath unit, but the owner has had long-time tenants in there for $650, $700, which is the case in a property that I have listed right now. The bank doesn't care about what it could rent for, especially right now, because they're seeing that can immediately be taken away. So, we're seeing cash purchases. Obviously, those won't foreclose, but we may see a situation where newly purchased properties need to be offloaded because the rents aren't justifying the desired return.
Right. That's interesting. I think one of the best things I've heard though throughout this whole thing is that, you know, when you buy a property, typically you're not purchasing it based on the income you're going to make in the next 3 to 6 months. You're purchasing it based on the income you're going to make over the next 5 to 10 years. So hopefully these owners and potential buyers are looking at the long-term return that they can make. And we still see the continued renovation downtown because it's been really awesome to see kind of the renaissance happening down there. And I would hate for this to delay that or put a full stop to it.
Absolutely. And Reno is still a very desirable place to live. We still have investors who view our market as undervalued, underpriced real estate. So I do still think there's some upward trajectory, even amidst all this situation. You know, we have decreases in rental collections. That's to be expected. The numbers are in the 80s and 90s, not the 50s and 60s or below that even. So a lot of investors are kind of sitting on the sidelines waiting to see what happens. Other agents and brokers I've been talking with have been instructed by their clients to start shotgunning lowball offers out. I don't think it's time for that. I think it's a poor move, honestly. Just not the best way to conduct business. The calls that I'm making are, you know, checking in, seeing if rental collections are going well, what can be done to, you know, just creative strategies. If I hear something on a Zoom call, I call my circle of clients immediately to share that and just see if they can benefit from that.
I agree with those lowball offers. I mean, across all asset classes, we don't have the information yet. There are no comps. Rental rates have not plummeted. I mean, so there may be opportunity in the future, but I think to make those opportunistic offers right now there's nothing to support it. It's just a hope, I guess. So it's interesting that you're seeing that.
It's a fear-based strategy that just isn't
working.
Backed up yet, yeah.
So kind of gonna just switch topics, and you didn't know I was gonna ask you this, but I just popped in my mind. Student housing. There's a ton of student housing projects going on and that are supposed to be delivered in August or by August for, you know, the incoming class to move into, with the reopening of schools and everything that's just kind of up in the air. What are you projecting or seeing in the student housing world, if anything?
Similar to how we've all been forced to work from home, and we all thought that was fun at first, but we're missing the interaction and missing the synergy that creates in the office. A lot of brokers and agents I work with have kids in college, and so I kind of keep an ear and a pulse on that through discussions with them. But you know, kids, they missed out on the last half of this school year. I think they're excited to go back to school, and I do think you know, business as usual, that term comes to mind, but I do think kids will be, you know, going back to school and wanting to experience college life as normal as possible. And with the amazing projects that are coming to market soon, I've been watching Canyon Flats, and that project is still well underway. And there's 3 student housing developments within walking distance of UNR. 2 are at dirt still, but the other one is, you know, I would say 50% complete. So I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. It'll be a factor of as far as when school does open, but I do anticipate that those will lease up pretty quickly.
Yeah, I certainly hope you're right. I'd love to see the kids go back to school, to college and elementary through high school, since I have a few at home.
That's right.
So
everybody's probably ready for that.
Definitely. So anything else you want to touch on before we wrap things up?
No, let's keep in touch on this, and let's do another report after. I think month by month will be pretty telling, but especially in 2-month increments, such as this call, I think we'll really be able to see a trend and track where this is headed.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Well, I'll see you soon.
All right, sounds good. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.